This is the only revenge thriller where the killer takes the lives of 7 people, yet the entire country cheers for her. Just 10 minutes earlier, a little girl was viciously slapped by her stepmother simply because she walked one step too slowly. The girl was so frightened that she hurried to apologize, but those words only made her stepmother even angrier. She dragged the girl into the restroom, ready to continue punishing her, and this scene was seen by Sun Young, who had just lost her daughter. She did not want to get involved and turned to leave, but the girl's non-stop crying still made Sun Young stop in her tracks, as she looked at the girl being constantly abused, and thought of how her own daughter had also been abused to death. An evil thought instantly rose in Sun Young's mind. After the little girl came out alone, Sun Young walked up to her and helped her wash her face. Although the girl did not know this woman, she could sense that she was not a bad person, so she immediately followed Sun Young out of the public restroom. The next second, Sun Young returned alone, took a cleaning in progress, do not enter sign from the supply room, placed it at the restroom entrance, and then rushed straight into one of the stalls. When the police arrived, they were shocked by the scene in front of them.
아무래도 우발은 아니고 원한 같은데요.
주방용품 어서파니.
But they could never have imagined that Sun Young had not run away at all, and had instead gone right back to the Porsche dealership where she worked. Relying on her striking looks, she sold a sports car in just 5 minutes. Because her road to revenge was far from over, her next target for revenge was this sharp-tongued and vicious female boss. Because a delivery worker brought her lunch 1 minute late, she deliberately made things difficult for him, not only refusing the order, but also insulting him with harsh words.
가긴 어딜 가? 사과해. 사과하고 가!
죄송해요. 죄송합니다.
다음부터 저 집에서 뭐 시켜 먹지 마. 알았지?
This only made Sun Young even more determined to kill this vicious woman, and just as the female boss was leaving, Sun Young happened to see her wealthy lover arrive to pick her up, so she deliberately stepped forward to greet them, and specifically mentioned to the rich man that she sold Porsche sports cars, because she knew this lustful man would definitely take an interest in her. This was actually also one part of her revenge plan. Sun Young took advantage of the fact that the boss lady went for beauty treatments every week, and arrived at the salon in advance disguised as a customer, waiting for her chance. Sure enough, the opportunity came quickly, and after the beautician finished applying a plaster mask to the female boss's face, she went downstairs to eat, leaving the woman alone in the room. So Sun Young pretended to be the beautician, and told the boss lady that she could receive a free hand treatment today. The moment she heard it was free, she agreed immediately. So Sun Young placed her hands together, and after dipping them into the treatment mod, quickly wrapped them layer by layer with plastic film. The reason Sun Young chose to kill this vicious woman first was because her own daughter had died because of her. It turned out that Sun Young once had a happy family of 3, and together with her detective husband Sun Ho, she had a lovely daughter named Min-ah. But on her daughter's 6th birthday, because her husband had to go out to investigate a case, and Sun Young also had to go deliver goods to a client, they could only leave their daughter for the time being at the clothing store where Sun Young worked. Unexpectedly, when she was on her way to the clothing store after finishing the delivery, a truck suddenly drove the wrong way toward her and slammed hard into Sun Young's car. Even after getting out of the vehicle, the driver kept cursing angrily. At that moment, the female owner of the clothing store called to rush her, because she was in a hurry to go on a date with her wealthy lover, and she demanded that Sun Young come pick up the child immediately. But Sun Young was still waiting for the traffic police to handle the accident, and begged the boss to give her a little more time. Yet the woman refused to listen to any explanation, ended the call in anger, and actually pushed 6-year-old Min-ah straight outside the store, then shut the door and walked away. Looking at the endless stream of cars on the street, the frightened Min-ah did not know what to do, so she thought of going to a phone booth to call her mother, but because she was too short, she could not reach it no matter how hard she tried. Before long, the sky grew dark, and Min-ah could only copy what her mother had done before and wave down a taxi. But after getting in, as she watched the fare meter keep rising, she suddenly realized that she was still short by $2 based on the money in her pocket. Min-ah then asked the driver,
아저씨, 저 차비가 모자라는데요.
야.
그래도
넌 차비도 없이 택시를 탔냐?
and just like that, while cursing the whole time, the driver threw 6-year-old Min-ah out onto the side of the road. With no other choice, Min-ah could only walk home alone, and when she entered that pitch-black tunnel, fear slowly took over her whole body. She cried as she kept calling for her mother. After walking for a long time, Min-ah became too tired, so she squatted by the roadside to rest. Suddenly, a red sports car stopped right in front of her.
꼬마야, 여기서 뭐하니? 아저씨가 태워줄까?
The innocent Min-ah thought she had met a kind man, but she had no idea that he was actually a predator who targeted children. By the time her mother found her, Min-ah had already become a cold body in a garbage dump. It was later confirmed that before her death, the girl had also suffered abuse. And just like that, what should have been the day of her daughter's birthday became the day of her daughter's death. And even more heartbreaking was that although the police arrested the criminal, that wealthy young man with a predatory obsession escaped prison with the help of a corrupt lawyer's psychiatric evaluation, and only had to spend 2 years in a mental institution before walking free again, since the law could not bring justice to her daughter. Then as a mother, Soon-young would seek justice for her daughter herself. She swore that everyone connected to her daughter's death would pay a painful price. For Soon-young, who had originally been gentle by nature, taking a life was never an easy thing. After struggling inside herself for a whole year, Soon-young went shopping at a mall that day, and unexpectedly ran into a woman and her daughter in the restroom. She recognized at once that the little girl was her own daughter's best friend from kindergarten. She remembered that her daughter had once talked to her about that little friend.
우연히 언니 참 불쌍해.
왜? 왜 불쌍해?
친엄마가 아니고 새엄마인데 되게 못됐대. 아빠만 없으면 맨날 뗀대. 그래서 자기 전에 맨날 기도한대. 새엄마 죽게 달라고.
It turned out that this woman was the abusive stepmother her daughter had mentioned. And so, in order to fulfill her daughter's wish, the opening scene of the film came to be. Unexpectedly, the team handling this murder case happened to be the very police unit where Soon-young's ex-husband, Sung-ho, worked. Ever since their daughter was killed, Soon-young had been unable to tolerate her husband's weakness and retreat, and that was what led the two of them to go their separate ways. After the female boss died, the police quickly arrived at the scene. In one corner, Sung-ho unexpectedly found a Princess Aurora sticker. At the time, he did not pay much attention to this detail, and instead began investigating the victim's social connections, quickly finding out that she was the mistress of a wealthy businessman. And at this moment, this rich man had indeed started to lust after Soon-young's beauty, and now he wanted to use the excuse of buying a car to take advantage of her, without realizing that he had fallen right into the trap Soon-young had set for him. After night fell, the wealthy man took her to his bridal shop, and said that if she could please him just once, Soon-young would never have to work again. Soon-young pretended to hesitate for a moment, then agreed. Before getting intimate, she handed the wealthy man a bottle of drink. Whatever, the impatient rich man did not think twice for even a second, and tilted his head back and finished the whole bottle in one go. And right after that, he realized there was only shock waiting for him, not pleasure. Until the moment he died, he would never understand why he had died at this woman's hands. When the police found him, he had died wrapped inside wedding dresses, and there was also a Princess Aurora sticker on his head. At the same time, the forensic examiner also found the same sticker on the sole of the female boss's foot. Only then did the police realize that these two cases were very likely committed by the same person. And when the police went back to investigate the first murder case again, they also found the same kind of sticker in a corner of the restroom. 3 murder cases with the same mark finally made the police understand that this was a carefully planned act of revenge by a serial killer. Sung-ho quickly pulled them all surveillance footage, and he discovered that before the first victim was killed, there had been a little girl with her, and perhaps this girl knew some important information. Unexpectedly, Sung-ho really did get something out of this lead, and when he found the little girl, She was holding a toy magic wand in her hand. He asked the girl who had bought it for her, and the girl said it was given to her by an auntie, and although she did not know that woman, that auntie was definitely not a bad person. After that, the girl turned around and ran off, left with no idea what to do. Sung-ho could only return to the surveillance room and continue searching for clues. To his surprise, he discovered that someone in the footage had also bought the same kind of magic wand, and that person was his own ex-wife, Sun-young. Watching his ex-wife wave the magic wand, Sung-ho felt a wave of unease rise in his heart. He immediately arranged to meet his ex-wife, wanting to test her a little, but after they met, the guilt he had carried for so long kept Sung-ho from opening his mouth. No one knows who suggested it first, but afterward, they actually went to a hotel and got a room together. All of this was part of Sun-young's plan. Afterward, Sung-ho discovered that his handcuffs were missing, and he realized that Sun-young had secretly taken them. And when it came to this action from Sun-young, Sung-ho actually chose to let it pass. This time, Sun-young set her sights on the taxi driver, the very man who had thrown her daughter out of the cab over $2. The moment Sun-young got into the car, she pulled out a piece of chewing gum, and it turned out that back then, it was with a chewing gum wrapper that her daughter had written down the driver's license plate number. Otherwise, she would not have found him so easily. Sun-young suddenly spoke up.
아저씨 만약에요. 애가 한 6살 먹은 어린애가 택시 태워달라고 하면 태워주시나요?
그럼. 애는 사람 아닌가?
애가 택시비가 한 2,000원. 딱 2,000원 모자라거든요. 그래도 집에까지 데려다 주시나요?
지금 뭐 하자는 거예요?
아이가 아저씨 저 차비가 모자라는데요. 그래도 집에까지 데려다 주시면 안 돼요?
After hearing her words, the driver seemed to be struck by a certain memory. His face changed instantly, and he immediately tried to force Sun-young out of the car. When the driver regained consciousness, a plastic bag had been pulled over his head, and his hands were cuffed to the steering wheel, leaving him unable to move. Sun-young parked the car at the edge of a steep slope, walked to the rear of the vehicle, and with one gentle push, the whole car immediately rushed down the slope. The driver died just like that in the taxi he loved most. The most innocent one was still the man who was using the bathroom, and he never could have imagined where exactly that car had come flying from. After the police arrived, Sung-ho immediately recognized that the handcuffs were his own. He kept searching inside the car for clues, and unexpectedly found a cassette tape with a Princess Aurora sticker on it. He played it right away, and it turned out to be a recording of their daughter. At that moment, Sung-ho completely understood that the killer in this serial murder case was his ex-wife Sun-young. At this moment, his heart was in extreme torment, because as a police officer, he had to bring the criminal to justice. But as a father, he completely understood Sun-young's actions, because his ex-wife was seeking justice for their daughter. Just as he was struggling inside and did not know what choice to make, the police station received another report, saying that an unidentified male body had appeared again on the outskirts of the city, and he was the same man who had once driven illegally and crashed into Sun-young, the man who had delayed her from picking up her daughter and had even tried to harass her in public. And this time, Sun-young disguised herself as a rural girl who had drifted far from home, and pretended to go to the man's barbecue restaurant to ask for a job. And the man's demand was very clear.
왜냐하면요 편리하니까.
저 여기 일 좀 시켜주시면 안 되겠습니까? 저 무슨 일이든 다 하겠습니다. 갈 데도 없고 잠잘 데도 없고.
Late at night, the man drove the car into a remote wooded area. Just as he was about to get what he wanted, Sun-young suddenly pressed a sharp pair of scissors against the lower part of his body.
뭐야 이거?
움직이지 마.
Sun-young immediately wrapped him up with tape like a tightly bound dumpling, and after that, the man was tortured by Sun-young for the entire night. By the time the fat man woke up again, it was already noon the next day. He struggled to open the car door with his feet, then rushed to the roadside in a twisted posture to call for help. but when the passing driver saw the scene, he was so frightened that he slammed on the gas and drove away. In the end, the fat man died from excessive blood loss. Sun-ho hurried to the scene, and the moment he saw the Princess Aurora sticker on the car window, he immediately realized that this was already the 5th revenge act carried out by Sun-young. Sun-ho finally could not hold it in anymore and confessed to his colleagues that the killer was his ex-wife. The police immediately ordered Sun-young's arrest. At this moment, Sun-young had already found her next target, Lawyer Kim, the man who had forged the psychiatric evaluation for the killer back then. She disguised herself as a new intern at the law firm and went to ask Lawyer Kim for guidance. Unexpectedly, he directly invited her to his villa. Lawyer Kim even thought that Sun-young had been drawn in by his charm, and began to entertain improper thoughts about her. On the surface, Sun-young acted compliant, but in secret, she was planning how to take revenge. Just as she was about to make her move, Sun-ho suddenly called. Sun-young picked up the phone and, in a provocative tone, told Sun-ho that she was spending private time alone with Lawyer Kim. Only then did Sun-ho realize that Lawyer Kim was Sun-young's next target, and he rushed there with the police team. At the same time, Sun-young tightly bound Lawyer Kim, stuffed him into a cardboard box, and planned to use the elevator to transport him to the basement.
빨리 와.
나중에 타.
왜요?
아줌마 바빠서. 미안.
After arriving in the basement, she loaded him into the back seat of a car and took him to the garbage dump where her daughter had once been found. On the way, she deliberately contacted a television station and declared that she was about to stage a live death broadcast. When the police arrived, they discovered that Lawyer Kim had already been hung from a crane by Sun-young, while Sun-young herself was remotely controlling everything from the operator's cabin. Today was her daughter's birthday, and at the same time, also the anniversary of her death, and in this place, she wanted to hold a grand birthday ceremony for her daughter, with Lawyer Kim serving as the gift she was presenting to her child. Sun-ho grabbed a loudspeaker and shouted, trying to make Sun-young come back to her senses, but Sun-young paid no attention to him at all. She turned on the broadcast system and accused the world of its injustice in front of everyone.
오성호, 당신이 무슨 자격으로 얘기를 해? 애 아빠라고? 당신은 그럴 자격이 없는 사람이야. 그 꼴난 경찰이라면서 자기 아이도 못 지킨 인간이잖아. 6살짜리 아이를, 그 천사 같은 아이를 증승만도 못한 새끼가 쫓아서 여기에 버렸어. 이 쓰레기들 놈을! 서울에 사는 온갖 인간들이 버리고 싸놓은 이 쓰레기들 때문에 내 딸을 죽여서 버려놨어. 그런데 그 짐승만도 못한 새끼는 지금 어떻게 됐어? 그동안 넌 뭐했어? 넌 그날이 미나 생일인지도 모르고 있었잖아!
Since the police and the law could not return justice to her daughter, then she would carry out that justice with her own hands. As Sun-ho listened to his ex-wife's grief-stricken accusations, tears could not stop pouring down his face. And while the two of them were talking, the special police quietly approached the crane from behind, used smoke grenades as cover, and successfully captured Sun-young. When Sun-young was taken away from the scene, there was not a trace of fear on her face, only a suffocating silence remained. The court eventually made its ruling, and Sun-young was sentenced to life imprisonment for premeditated murder. But doctors diagnosed her with mental illness, so she had to be transferred to a psychiatric hospital for treatment first. On the surface, the film seems to end here, but Sun-ho suddenly realizes the deeper intention hidden in his wife's actions, and the real revenge is only just beginning, because in this psychiatric hospital lived the person Sun-young wanted to punish the most, the powerful chaebol heir. Sun-ho immediately went to the psychiatric hospital to visit his wife, and after once again expressing his guilt to her, he gave her a book.
자세히 보면 도움될 거야.
When Sun-young opened the book that night, she discovered that there was a hard object hidden inside the cover. The next day, during free activity time, Sun-young quietly walked up to that chaebol heir.
나 기억 안 나? 모르겠어. 홍기범, 내 딸 죽여놓고 여기 숨어 있으면 못 찾을 줄 알았지. 나 왜 나 엄마야?
The Princess Aurora sticker on the table was stained red, and this long revenge journey finally came to a complete end. In her own way, Sun Young had delivered justice for her daughter. From that moment on, there was nothing left for her to hold on to, and afterward, she calmly chose her own form of release. She knew that she, too, was one of the people responsible for her daughter's death, and she was going to be with her daughter. And even at this point, the film still was not over. Afterward, lawyer Kim, who had been rescued by the police, returned to his old life, and naively thought that everything was already over, never expecting that Sun Ho had long since locked onto him from the shadows. Lawyer Kim drove the newly purchased BMW 7 Series, never knowing that somewhere in a hidden corner of the car body, there was a Princess Aurora sticker that could take his life. As a father, Sun Ho would continue the revenge mission that Sun Young had not been able to finish.